love movies.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody out there in this beautiful world. My name is Ricky, and this is Filmtopia Live. Welcome, 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 everybody. So good to be back. What a beautiful start to this awesome week. In the chat, I see people are here, so what's going on? I am super excited to be here. Let's see. Let's bring on some comments, everybody. I see Heather Ramirez is here, but says, I got a meeting during this, so I'll have to catch the replay. Have fun. Yes, me. I cannot wait to talk to Tom. As you all know, today, Tom Buck is our wonderful guest, and he will be joining us shortly, actually. So I'm excited about that. We'll talk about a few things. Smuggler Steele's in the house. What's going on, Smuggler? How's it going? Howdy to you as well. Emma says, hi, friends. Welcome to the channel. Tom, yes, thank you for showing Tom some love. Emma, thank you for being here. Appreciate the love. Let's see. I see Ulysses is in the house, and I think what he's trying to say is that's what he's trying to say. And Emma, we are very, very good. But as a matter of fact, speaking of we, let's go ahead and bring on the not just me, right? And that is Jonah, my man. Jonah, how
What
are you today?
up? I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm excited. The week is here. It's a start of a new week, and we got some more, I guess, new things to talk about.
A lot of new things to talk about.
Yeah.
And over the course of the week, there's hopefully going to be so much more news coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. I did want to say that throughout this week, it's going to be actually a little bit different this particular week because what's tomorrow, Jonah? Or tomorrow evening for us?
It's Tuesday night. It's what if.
It's what if. That is true. It is tomorrow is what if, at least Pacific Standard time at midnight. The what if premiere of episode 1 will be debuting, but we will be doing a watch party here at Filmtopia starting at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And as you all know, I would say our watch parties are our cream of the crop, or what's the saying?
I would say they're top of the line.
Sure, yeah, something like that. It's what a lot of people actually have, how a lot of people have actually found the channel. So I'm very, very grateful for the watch party experience, and it's something special. It's something really, really cool for this channel. But we will be starting those up again tomorrow at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we will basically do a pre-show party from 10 p.m. all the way to 12 a.m. until it drops. And then we watch it together. You guys get to, I'll put a timer right here, and we get to watch the episode together. And then after that, we come back together and we just spoiler talk about the whole thing. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I do see, Smuggler Steel. I'm glad to hear you're doing good. That's awesome. Dr. Elo's in the house. What's going on, Dr. Elo? Thank you for being here. Dr. Elo is a fellow content creator in this awesome community, so it's so cool to see Dr. Elo here. Thank you for that, Dr. Elo. Smuggler Steel says, what if? Yes. So what if tomorrow, why don't you tell the people, Jonah, really quick, which episode are we getting tomorrow?
We are getting the Captain Carter episode technically tomorrow.
Captain Carter.
There's been a lot of buzz on Twitter about the Captain America Twitter account, but
That's funny. Oh, here we go.
It's promotion.
Ulysses got our what I was trying to say earlier. Thank you for picking up what I'm liking, which is our bread and butter. What did I say earlier? I said,
I don't know.
I don't know what I said, but it definitely wasn't that. Oh, man, that's hilarious. But yeah, so with that said, we have a few things to talk about today, right? And also we'll be keeping an eye out on Twitter, throughout the morning, just to make sure that nothing big drops on us, which actually, as I press refreshed, I see a few new things. uh, but with that said, how about we go ahead and get started with our first, I guess, topic of the day. And our first topic is a little something called.
Felipe.
Oh gosh, why do you do this to me?
I
All right, how
didn't
about
do
now?
anything.
Oh no. All right, hold on. Why are you doing this to me? Technical difficulties as always on Filmtopia Live, and we love it. Really quick, Jonah, go ahead and say something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm echoing on your end, I think,
Yeah, I
or
hear that
something.
too. Yeah, so hold on really quick. Oh my gosh, why'd you do that? All right, hold on. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Stand
Okay,
by.
I think there we go. We got it, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. All right, so here, how about this? Really quick, stay there. I want to make sure that say something again.
Yo,
Okay,
I don't know.
one more time.
Technical difficulties.
All right. Just making sure because you know what it is.
We.
A quick little cool insight is something called so I use Ecamm at least for these morning shows. I use Ecamm because I think it's the best streaming platform there is out there. The only thing is there's a few things that I wouldn't call them bugs or anything. I would just call them, I'm gonna blame
Glitches.
myself. No, I'm gonna call them user errors. That if you're not on top of it, like 110%, stuff like that can happen. But for the most part, there always is a solution, and that is, I think, what we did right now. We figured it out. The only thing about StreamYard, right? I use StreamYard for the watch parties. Two reasons. One, because it has unlimited amounts of like hours I can have people as guests, and then also I can carry over like 10 people. And with Ecamm, it's a little different. I won't go into why, but it's a little different. And so while the quality, the video quality suffers over on the watch parties, the vibes are still there because there's so much awesomeness going on. But whatever, that is neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and go back to what our first topic was going to be. Our first topic is obviously the Suicide Squad, and its first weekend box office debut. And I have a few things I want to say about it. So, for all of you out there watching, there are going to be some The Suicide Squad spoilers throughout this talk, so be aware of that. If you are okay with that, then let's go ahead and move on. And with that said, one of the things that we have for this Monday is a number that's kind of, I wouldn't say dividing people, but a number that is very controversial because it's got two sides to it. So the number I'm talking about is this number right here, and it is $26.5 million. That's how much The Suicide Squad by James Gunn, 100% creative control by James Gunn, made $26.5 million at the box office its opening weekend. And let me say this, that if it wasn't a year full of what's going on right now, that is an absolute fail. That is a very, very, very low number. And then you have to keep in mind what HBO Max and Warner Media and Warner Brothers decided to do. So about a year ago, or almost, I would say around November, I remember getting the news, and it was like evening time. And I remember it was just like a bombshell news where it just completely made me think, wow, this is mind blowing. Warner Brothers decided to unilaterally make the decision that they were going to do day and date drops. And what that means is they put the movie in theaters and they put it on their streaming service technically for free, so long as you have an HBO Max subscription. But what I want to point out is that unilateral part. Unilaterally, they decided without asking any of the actors, without asking any of the talent, the workers, the directors, the producer, nobody, partners. I'm talking studio partners. So if you don't know, there's also like financing companies that play a big part in making a movie. So the distributor might say Warner Brothers and the creator and all that stuff and who it belongs to, but sometimes they get the financing from someone such as, I don't know, Lionsgate. Lionsgate is who financed King Kong or Kong versus Godzilla, Kong versus Godzilla, Dune, the Matrix, or no, I don't think the Matrix, but they have a working relationship with Warner Brothers and actually other studios as well. They're a very well-known company. As a matter of fact, if they have a reputation of also saying, "Oh, have you seen that new Lionsgate movie?" Anyways, what I wanted to say about that though is HBO Max and Warner Media decided to go ahead and say, you know what? I don't think we got to ask anybody. What we're going to do is we're just going to do this, and hopefully it works. So, fast forward almost a year later, we are now in August, and we saw what, the ramifications of all that are. But what I want to say, this is where I think I differ from either the articles or from just, the Twitter sphere, or just, this is my opinion on the matter. While I am not a fan of unilaterally making that decision, because you ticked off a lot of your business partners, and I don't think that's good business. And I think there's a courtesy factor, right? But Hollywood is show business.
It's Hollywood.
It's called show business and not show friends for a reason, right? But with that said, obviously $26.5 million for the Suicide Squad by James Gunn is very, very, like, I guess, concerning as a studio, right? You would think this huge movie by this huge director would have raked in a lot more money. And then even worldwide, I mean, it didn't even pass the Jungle Cruise, which I believe was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Man, I'm already 2 weeks ago. Okay. So it's been 2 weeks since the Jungle Cruise, and the Jungle Cruise did pretty well for, the type of movie it is, and then also, globally, it made a good amount of money. The Suicide Squad.
Also, Space Jam made more money than this in the opening weekend.
You're right. That is true. But this is actually a good part now to go ahead and say what it is I'm thinking, right? So while people might blame the day and date release of the Suicide Squad for its opening, I actually wanted to stray away from that. I don't think that the HBO Max release did enough to cause this sort of debut. And the reason why I say that is because, and something that this article goes into as well, which is it really has to do with the brand of the franchise, right? So A, it's an R-rated movie. B, it's called The Suicide Squad, and it's a very, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's a movie and a franchise that has a lot of controversy surrounding it, such as we're coming off of this quote unquote Suicide Squad with no "the" at the beginning in 2016. I can't believe that's 5 years ago, but that's neither here nor there. 2016, we get Suicide Squad, which did okay financially. It did okay. I'm not going to say it did well. I'm not going to say it did bad. It definitely did better than this. But as far as reviews and just general reception, it was seemed and deemed as a failure. And what we've learned now over the past couple of months and everything, we've learned that David Ayer, the director of that, said it was not his cut of the movie, that the producers and the studio Warner Brothers really had their hand all over it and basically took control of the movie and made it what they wanted to make it. So with that said, released the Ayer cut. And until then, I can't really judge that movie anymore. But what I want to say...
I just don't like how this is becoming a trend.
Yeah,
that
release
directors from DC have a better version of what we originally got.
You know
I
what?
don't like that that's becoming a trend.
Outside of DC, though, I will say release the J.J. Abrams Rise of Skywalker cut, please. But onto to wrap up the Suicide Squad thing that I'm trying to say is, I personally don't think that HBO Max had a lot to do with dwindling down the numbers significantly. Sure, it might have done, I would say, minutely a few million, but I personally think that it has way more to do with what's going on in the world and the rising, variants that are happening right now, as coupled with the fact that this brand is marred in controversy, and then also it just got the it didn't get the benefit of the doubt, which was it got released during, again, another, I guess, peak part of this pandemic that we're going through, or at least a rising type of feeling. um and then B, it's it, that's what I was trying to say. It got the short end of the stick. And one thing that I did want to bring up, though, that I saw on Twitter was Liam Crowley says this is a pretty solid debut for being free on HBO Max and literally debuting during a pandemic's variant, which Chris Killian at the bottom says down here, says this is the correct take. And that's where I really wanted to kind of like get to the point I wanted to get to, which was I think this is the correct take. I think if we look at it through the lens of I personally think it's one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Of all time, I said it. Of all time. And then two, uh, critically and from the general audience, it's been received so well. So outside of my just personal bias, it's just been received so well by almost everybody that I think this is one of those rare occasions where this could be a box office bomb, which in essence it kind of is. But the take should be that this was pretty solid for being free on HBO Max and for literally debuting during a pandemic's variant. And so with that said, I really just want to say thank you to James Gunn and the team that worked very hard on this. Again, it's one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. To be honest, it actually completely, I think, revolutionized my filmmaking perspective on so many things and the way I want to do things, that I am very happy at what the movie is and what it became. While the numbers aren't there, I do want to walk away thinking that this was a win for the, I would say a win for the in the macro sense, right? In the micro, it's definitely not a win for the studio, but in the macro, I think even the studio's seeing that they are able to. I mean, you see it. You see it right now. They already want James Gunn back for another project, and that's very rare, right? That's very rare for them. Before the movie even came out, they were already saying they were going to bring him back in some capacity, and it goes to show that they're not. They also understand the circumstances in which this movie was released. But yeah, sorry, Jonah. I know I rambled on a bit, but I want to hear your opinion on the Suicide Squad and it making $26.5 million again, but during a pandemic's variant peak, and then also it being released simultaneously on HBO Max.
Yeah, I mean, it did what it did, and it did well for being an R-rated movie at this time. That's the other thing that you have to keep in mind is that since it's R-rated, not everyone's able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So not there's that barrier of a rating that keeps people from seeing a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and with that said, like I know I said Space Jam did better. Space Jam didn't have that barrier on it, which is why it made the extra $5 million compared to Suicide Squad. If Suicide Squad was a PG-13 movie, we're looking at $60 million easily.
Mm-hmm.
But because it has the R rating, because it is free on HBO, because everyone that pays for HBO has access to it for free, they're losing so much money off of that.
Yeah.
But in props to them, they haven't had someone instantly come out and sue them.
Sue them. Digress on that. Sue them how?
For releasing it on a streaming service, especially for free on a streaming service. Like, you would think that there would be multiple lawsuits coming at like Warner Brothers Warner Brothers for that. But here we are with a weekend without a lawsuit happening. But
I know. Okay, now I'm picking up what you're putting down. So yeah, no. As far as like the lawsuits and all that stuff goes, I will say that you know, this movie, I think again going back to HBO, this all originates right. This all originates back when HBO decided to make the commitment to doing day and date releases. I think if it's funny. I'm looking at this from the lens of I guess them as the studio and not as a consumer because what I'm about to say is actually kind of anti me, which is I personally think what HBO Max should have done is also put that paywall the way Disney does, the way who's the other one that does it? Um, it's Disney and
HBO,
no, but someone puts like the premiere access type of thing. Well, anyways, you know how on Disney
Amazon.
Plus, you know how Disney Plus does premiere access. So like Jungle Cruise last weekend or a few weekends ago, you had to buy it separately on top of your account. Um, but again, as a fan, as a consumer, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with HBO Max having it for free. But I will say, as a studio, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, you could make the argument that that's just how desperate they were for people to get onto their platform. Was they made their top tier uh, movie theater only movies for free on the platform. And let me say this really quick. I will say that one of the movies that I'm really, really sad about going to HBO Max is Dune. Uh, Dune, I think that what they should have done was they should have designated a few movies absolutely 100% to be theaters only. And then if they didn't think they were going to get the return in the theaters, I think what they should have done is push the movie back since they moved the movie back anyways. I think next year, right? Next year will be hopefully a year where things are able to be safer to go watch movies in theaters. Um, but that's just my opinion on the matter. I think that they HBO and Warner didn't do a great job at doing what they did, which was a year ago, and making that day and date release a thing. I think what was kind of funny was how Disney kind of waited around, watched all of HBO's failures, and then took that into the lab and decided, okay, this is how we're gonna do the day and date releases. So kudos to them for studying. But you know what? Let's go to the chat. I know we're super behind. I do see
Oh,
Coffee Talking
definitely.
Tech is in the house. Hello to you. J.A. Smith is here. What's up, J.A.? Says Idris Elba is great, but I was sorry that Will Smith's schedule prohibited his involvement. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, Will Smith wasn't in the movie because he didn't want to, which was initially reported, right? He was like, or what was reported was that he didn't really want to be a part of it in any way because of how bad the first one was. But we come to find out that it actually had to do with scheduling. Let's see. I see Kevin's in the house. What's up, Kevin? Nice to see you here. Uh, Ulysses says that it's crazy how the Loki show finished. Yeah, yeah, that is. Kevin says, "I love Suicide Squad. Just saw it last Friday. It was really entertaining." Yes. Again, I am a big proponent of that movie. I know there's a few things online or a few things across the interwebs that say something about it's very, very violent, which that I cannot deny. But I think the violence is a part of the story and it's not violence for violence sakes. So that's why I was so enamored with just everything that movie did. Going on to the point which I made earlier, which was I think the Suicide Squad from James Gunn completely changed my perspective on filmmaking. And I'll say this. The reason why is because within the movie he's doing things that you don't see happen in a traditional movie, and it really just opened my eyes, and it reminded me that to me, that's the future right there. To me, that's the future of filmmaking. That's the future of content. That's the future of all these things, which is to follow like your gut and do what it is you think is awesome. That's not disavowing or putting aside other people's like opinions or their input. No, I'm saying you make what you want and then you allow other people's like input to make that even better. I'm sure that there was people around James Gunn that said, hey, like what happens if we do this and we do this, and that all stems from someone like James Gunn, being that leader and being someone that's probably open um, to that type of environment. Let's see. So check this out. Okay, so I see Smuggler Steel says, I don't think we will be able to bank on box office numbers to guide the worth of a film. There are too many variables that are affecting results. It's going to take years to see box office numbers recover, which is 100% true. I think that's one of the things that needs to start happening within the industry right now is for these studios to not make decisions based on whatever numbers come out, whether that's on streaming, whether that's in the box office. What they need to do now is take all of this as a, what do you call it? An anomaly? No. What's that called when it's a statistics thing? An outlier. They need to
Yeah.
look at these 2 years as an outlier, but also pick off and take things away from this that they can implement once, the world is hopefully better. And I know I'm just talking, Jonah, but I, I'm very passionate about this topic because I really don't want to see uh, I don't want to see movies suffer and filmmakers suffer during this time.
I don't want to see movie theaters like go back towards the like possible extinction like point that they were
Yeah.
at back in 2020.
Do you remember
Like
that?
that was terrifying. I was
Yeah.
like, cool. So Endgame happened. That's my final movie in theaters. Cool. I'm fine with ending it that way. But like, still, this is sad. And then now we're back, and I'm like, all right, cool. Please keep it. Please keep it.
That's funny. Jay says that these numbers may be the new normal, honestly, given theaters closing and now streaming is splinters awareness and accessibility. The movie pleasantly surprised me. So on the movie pleasantly surprising you, that I think is a great way to put it. I think it pleasantly surprises a lot of people. And for me, like I said, it's one of my favorite movies ever. But on the point of it being the new normal, I think that it's not the new normal forever, but what I do think that the studios can do right now is to find a good way, a very clever way to integrate streaming and box office. Streaming and box office do not have to be enemies. If anything, they can be allies and could possibly make for a bigger box office return. You just have to figure out a clever way to do it. And one of those ways is something that I always say on this channel, and there's a video on this channel. It's an early video I made, but it's about the future of movie theaters and streaming. One of the points I make are because there's no more laws that prohibit a studio from owning a movie theaters, I think what would be incredible would be if you started seeing like these exclusive theaters from these studios. So think of it like as the Disney theater. You go to the Disney theater and you watch the Avengers there, but perhaps on streaming you put like an epilogue. Let's say like movies start making epilogues or something. Studios and Marvel. So not only do they have
Well, with that,
shows, uh
I think that they can just do an assembled episode. And then so then they have the movie that comes out in the theaters, and then they have the assembled episode of that movie that just came out in the theaters.
yeah,
And that creates the extra want of maybe there's some extra content in there, like some behind the scenes that got cut or whatever.
mhm,
And you just add on to what assembled already is. So that way you get people wanting to see more through the Disney Plus
yeah.
app, as well as seeing the movie in theaters.
Yeah, and exactly. So you make something that that motivates and fires up the audience, the people, to now go want to watch whatever it is, that assembled episode, or that, like I said, that epilogue, or whatever you want to call it, that pre thing to the movie. You watch it on Disney Plus, and then you know that you're going to go to the Disney Plus theater and watch the Avengers movie there. As I said, I don't think they have to be enemies. They can be allies. Mark my words. I want to see this through. I want to see this actually happen. I see our guest today, Tom Buck, is in the house. Let's go. I just watched Drew Gooden's video on Space Jam 2. He really nailed it. I haven't seen Drew Gooden's video, but I will have to catch that. I wonder what he said. Why is an R-rated film such a barrier? Well, one of the things Jonah was saying is, I mean, if you have a younger brother, a younger sister, a younger sibling that is obviously under 17, they can't just whenever they want to go to the movie theaters and watch the Suicide Squad. They'd have to go with a parent.
They ID check, like with whenever you go and attempt to buy alcohol in the States. They will always check your ID. And if you're under 17, then and you don't have someone that's over 18 with you, then you're not given a ticket. And you are turned away, and it doesn't matter about your money or anything. Like, they'll make their money elsewhere. Like, they're not like losing a sale off of you or whatever. It's just, this is the rules. Follow the rules. Have someone over 18 with you if you're under 17. And that's where the barrier creates a money barrier as well, because if a parent doesn't want to take their kid to go see this movie, then that's 2 ticket sales that are gone right there, at least. And it just piles up more and more.
Yeah.
Because comic book movies are so huge right now, and younger kids want to see every comic book movie that comes out. You're going to get a lot of kids seeing this in an at-home setting rather than in a theater setting, because they can see it at home without having that barrier of the R-rated keeping them out of the theater.
Yeah.
Which is where you see the numbers plummeting now because of this.
And this is the new age sneaking into the theaters, sneaking into an R-rated film, which is, hey mom, hey dad, could you buy HBO Max? I want to watch Space Jam. And in reality, you probably go watch the Suicide Squad or something. But this is the new age sneaking in. But just to give you perspective, Ulysses, on the point, which is, how does an R-rated film affect numbers? Okay, well, if you look at this one, $26.5 million here, right? If you look at Black Widow, which came out, and you can call it a comparative film because it's a comic book genre type of film, superhero type of vibe. That one made around $90 million in its first opening weekend in the U.S. And what that means is there's a disparity, right? R-rated versus PG-13, 26.5 million to 90 million is a huge gap. And while, again, I said earlier, it doesn't have the brand or the namesake like Marvel.
Except it does. Like, not movie-wise, but in general, DC has that same brand name as Marvel. So that I don't
it's
really
like
find
Pepsi
that
and
to be an
Coca-Cola.
excuse.
Yeah, it's like Pepsi and Coca-Cola. They're basically, contemporaries, equals in a lot of ways. And so to that point, 26.5 million, 90 million, there's this huge disparity. And honestly, that has a lot to do with what Jonah was saying, which was a lot of those ticket sales are 2 things. One, kids just can't get dropped off at the movie theaters and get to watch it by themselves. 13-year-olds to 16-year-olds, they're not able to just get dropped off and go watch it. And then 2, you lose that extra ticket sale if they do go with their parents, right? So let's just say, for namesake, you just go with your dad or with your mom, just with one of them. That's an extra ticket sale. So that's it right there. Yeah, Smuggler Steel says that there will be hold on a minute. That there will be lawsuits for years over all of this. It will be squabbling over who gets the slices of the smaller pie. And yeah, we're experiencing that a lot throughout the industry right now, which is we're seeing, and again, opinions vary all over the place for this, but you are seeing lawsuits going up left and right for these day and date releases because they are cutting into the pie and they're cutting into people's pockets. And that's a fair thing to want to rectify, right? That's a fair thing to want to rectify. And Ulysses, Free Guy is actually coming out this Friday, and here's a great example of what's going to happen this weekend. I think this is a great example. So, if I'm not mistaken, Joe, really quick, can you check if it's rated R, rated PG-13, Free Guy?
13.
Okay.
PG-13. It should be. I'll just triple check.
Okay. So, from what we know or from what we think really quick, PG-13 is what
PG-13.
Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds-led video game movie, is going to be rated. If it surpasses this weekend's The Suicide Squad, that right there tells you everything about the PG-13 versus the R-rated. Like I said, a few weeks ago,
I think it's going to. I think it's gonna have like a 50 million opening. This movie was super anticipated before the pandemic, and it's also one of those movies that you're like, wait, didn't that come out already? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, because like they promoted it so well, like before the pandemic, that you're like that you thought you actually saw the movie.
Yeah.
And now that the movie's like actually like right around the corner, it's like I can't wait to see it. Like, this is one of those movies that's like you've been waiting for forever, but you haven't ever realized that you needed it, kind of thing.
I see really quick. I see Reddick's in the house. What's up, Reddick? I hope all your test went well. In the chat, show Reddick some love. I think he just finished finals. And Jay says, "Do needs to be experienced in a theater." 100%. Let's see. Let's see. Coffee Talking Tech says, "I did see Space Jam 2 with my 10-year-old son, and it was pretty entertaining." But onto that point, which is the PG-13 nature of that, definitely, I think helps that.
Space Jam was PG, I think.
I think it was. Oh, you're right. I think it was. Ulysses is throwing it back and saying, "I think I used to buy them on Fandango, and you wouldn't get ID'd that way for the sneaking into rated R movies."
They can't do that. They can't ID you online. So yeah, there you go. Or buying a ticket for another movie.
Oh yeah, Coffee Talking Tech says, "Wait, what about the buy a ticket for another movie and then go see another movie?"
Yeah, it was PG for Space Jam.
That's funny, man. That's so cool. Let's see. Okay, so I see Brown Babe's in the house. What's up, Brown Babe? I see Dan C. Bearded is in the house. What's up, Dan C? How's it going? Nice to see you, my man. Let's see. JA says, with 80-inch 8K TVs hitting homes, I think there will be a continued loss of theaters. It's in the best interest of all to keep streaming in theaters to partner. Yes, and there you go. That's the perfect way to put it. Partnering streaming with theaters, I think, is going to be the way of the future. And you're going to see it. I mark my words. I think you're going to see it with Amazon. I think Amazon is going to make a play. They're going to make a move fairly soon, and you're going to see a lot of Amazon Studios theaters pop up. And I think they will lead the way in that. And then once Disney and all these big behemoths that are, tried and true get there, that's when the game's really going to change. And I'm talking like, it's going to be really cool too, because when you go see, like, let's say Avengers 7 in this Disney exclusive theater, you're going to get to see, like, imagine, right? Like, just imagine the outline of it all, which is you're in a theater. Let's set the scene here really quick. So you're in a theater, and then you sit down, and then the seat molds to however you're built, and then there's buttons on the handlebars, and they recline or they go up, and then on the other hand, you have other buttons that turn up the volume in your what are those called? In your like little cocoon. And then when stuff happens on the screen, you see like an immersive 4D experience with like the walls lighting up. And I did a really bad job at I did a I did a really bad job at doing that, but I'm trying to set the scene, man.
5K. 5K.
5K. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, let's see. Reddick says Netflix will lead streaming service, in my opinion. So I personally think that they're all going to be huge players. I don't think there's going to be a clear-cut winner. The streaming wars are among us. Or how about this? The stream. I was gonna do the streaming wars have begun. Or no, how does it go? I was trying to do the Clone Wars have begun, but the streaming wars, begun. The streaming wars have. That's what I was trying to
There
say.
you go. There we go.
Let's see. Jay says, I feel like theaters creating an experience again, especially for kids, teenagers, to have a space away from parents might be a great marketing approach. That's a really cool way to look at it.
I like that.
I like that
That's
a lot.
really that's a really great marketing point. Hey, your parents annoying you and wanting to watch this boring movie? Come to the theater. You can see this cool one instead.
Conversely, hey, is your kid annoying you? Drop them off at Disney Plus theaters. That's funny. Uh, let's see.
Reddick said something earlier about Peacemaker, and I wanted to bring up about John Cena, and I wanted to say that that is what I wish LeBron did in Space Jam.
Mm,
I haven't seen the full movie yet. I haven't had time to make it over to the theater, but from what I've seen of every clip and everything,
yeah.
John Cena played Peacemaker perfectly, and that was a perfect casting for that role. And I just wish that like Space Jam did more of what John Cena did for Suicide Squad than LeBron did for that movie, if that makes sense. Because we
Uh,
have two superstar athletes
yeah.
being casted in movies. One of them is stiff and boring and plain. The other one is fun, explosive, and you never know what you're going to get from him.
Yeah. I will say, them making the Peacemaker series, I think, is going to be huge. And to be honest, I'm really, really excited about it. That I'm telling you guys, go watch the Suicide Squad if you haven't seen it yet. I highly, highly recommend it from every level of the movie process there is. That's from watching it, from learning from it, from the behind the scenes, everything about the Suicide Squad. I think is a dang near 10. So go check it out. But with that said, I do know that I do see that Tom has arrived in the green room, so we will be hanging out with him shortly. But to wrap up today's, movie talk part of the show, I will say I have a lot of faith in what's to come. While there were some mistakes made throughout the pandemic, while there were some mistakes that again, and they're understandable if you really want to like look at it that way. It's understandable as to why all the decisions have been made. While in 2020 hindsight, you would make those decisions differently. But I really, really do hope that all the studios learn from it and are able to implement a gracious way that will revitalize the movie theater industry, that will continue to prop up these streaming services. And, us as fans, we're going to be here to enjoy all of it. Like I said, the day Netflix buys their movie theaters, like their own chain, and then does some really, really cool stuff on their streaming service to get you to go to those theaters, I think it's right around the corner. So it's not too far off into the future. But yeah, Jonah, I think we used up all the time to talk about the Suicide Squad.
I mean, it's one of those things that, like, once in a blue moon, DC does something well.
Yeah.
And it's something that should be talked about for 45 minutes.
Yeah, and exactly. DC, there you go. This is your proof that you did something really, really good.
All you have to do is take a Marvel director Let him direct a Marvel-style movie about some random unknown characters with a CGI character played by a super famous person. And there you go. Money.
Exactly.
Great
You know,
movie.
last question I wanna ask you before we transition is, would you give James Gunn the keys to DC the way Kevin Feige has them for Marvel? And in the chat, let us know.
No,
You would not do that. Okay.
no. James Gunn has too much variety with him. He's not. I don't think he would want to ground himself to just DC.
Hmm.
Um, as much as I would love it, as much as I would love having him in charge of DC because he would be able to direct stuff well. No, he would. He. It would be too small of an arena for him, in my
Hmm.
opinion. And the way that James Gunn is going, he wants to do Guardians 3 and then be done with comic book movies for a while, to my understanding,
Hmm.
and direct some different types of movies after this. So if he were in charge of DC, like, he wouldn't be able to do those other movies. He would have to focus all his time. He also wouldn't be able to direct movies at that point because he would be storyboarding and doing everything else that Kevin Feige's already doing for the MCU because that's what we're comparing.
Yeah. Well, I do see the chat says yes and no. Or actually, no, I see no. Yeah, I see a bunch of no's. I thought I saw some yes. I was the one saying yes. But yeah, so
You
definitely.
proposed the question, so I was assuming it was a yes from you.
Yeah, I would love to see James Gunn actually do something like that. I think that is the natural evolution of where I think he would fit perfectly into. It's one of those things which is, you know how some people don't necessarily like being known for something, like they don't want to be pigeonholed or whatever the case is. I personally think that James Gunn has that special ability to where he can do that, and I still wouldn't even consider him like exclusively like a superhero movie maker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, which
So
is why I don't think he would want to be pigeonholed into just DC, especially when if Disney loves Guardians 3, like they can invite him back anytime and be like, "Hey, direct this Guardians spin-off movie." And we'll forgive everything that you already did. That we'll forgive everything that we fired you for.
well, I will say
Just make us
this.
money. Just
I
make us
will say
money.
this. Money talks, and if the bag is right, we never know. We never know. And hopefully James Gunn is able to get that bag if they offer it. But with that said, Jonah, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this part of the show up. Jonah, it's been
Sounds
awesome
good.
today. Thanks for coming and dropping some knowledge. We
Thanks
will
for
see
having me.
you. We will see you actually tomorrow for the live stream watch party. The live stream
Yes.
watch party for What If is debuting tomorrow at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so, for all of you that love this style of Filmtopia and Filmtopia Lives in the morning, well, make sure to check us out at night and hang out with us. Watch What If episode 1 with us. And with that said, I want to go ahead and let you guys know Tom Buck will be joining us very shortly. But until then, what I want to do is I want to show you guys a little clip that that I just every day I wake up and I watch him like, all right, I got to be this good. With that said, this is a little excerpt from a video from Gerald Undone, and Gerald Undone essentially was he was showing like a lot of YouTubers YouTube studio spaces and what it is they use to film their videos and stuff. And so I excerpt Tom Buck's part, and so let's watch it together, and then after that we'll go ahead and bring on Tom Buck. So with that said, we'll be right back.
For my videos, I use the Sony a7S III with the Sony 24mm 1.4, and that camera is on the iFootage Shark Slider Nano. And as you might be able to see, I do have a B and C camera over here, and both of those are Canon EOS Rs. One of them has the Sigma 24mm 1.4, and the other has the Canon RF 50mm 1.8. And when it comes to audio, I typically use the Rode VideoMic NTG, but sometimes I will use the Rodecaster Pro as an external recorder so I can connect an XLR microphone like this Rode NT1, and that is a great setup for NT1.
So, with that, everybody, I want to introduce the one and only Tom Buck. Tom, how are you today?
Hello.
Nice to see you.
I'm good. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I like Gerald's face at the end of that. Just the exasperation is perfect.
I think that's all of us when we got to see that. I will say that
that was like 30 seconds is not that long. You got to do a lot in 30 seconds, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. One thing is, I do see right now that Ecamm is lagging, but I know it will catch up. So until then, really quick, what I want to do is I want to say thank you for coming on. I know what you say, like what your channel's about and stuff, and it's what I read, right? It says I help you level up audio and video. Well, I will say this. That is exactly what you have done for Filmtopia. You know how throughout the weeks I've been for the guest, I pay homage in like some sort of way. Well, my homage, I didn't really have to do much today because if you see my background, that is because of you. The Shure SM7B is because of you. And then if I had an extra camera, I'd be showing you the Rodecaster Pro, and that is because of you.
I love it. I love it.
So I just want to say thank you for that. And without further ado, everybody, this is Tom Buck. Tom, if you don't mind, go ahead and let the people know what it is you do. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, because your whole, like, the whole show, the whole Filmtopia cinematic universe is amazing. So I'm very excited to be a part of it. But yeah, my YouTube channel is my main thing, and I do audio, video, tutorials, reviews, that sort of thing. Mainly leaning towards stuff like the Rodecaster, like the A10 Mini, all the stuff that lets you become, like a one-person production crew in your own environment, where you can take what used to be a whole studio's worth of, stuff that you needed a crew for, and you can do a bunch of really cool stuff all by yourself. Basically what you do every day. Like I love that stuff. So I do that, do podcasting, do courses, run the mastermind group in a community with my wife Heather, who was on last week, and that's a lot. So that's pretty much everything.
That's awesome. No, well, like I said, you do a fantastic job in what it is you do. I think one of the most awesome things about you, your channel, and your vibe is the fact that you're so what's the word, like it feels so welcoming. I mean, look at your set, look at your smile, everything. Like, you just have a very welcoming personality, and I think as an audience member, as a viewer, we appreciate that. And that's what really, like, I see your channel, and I see always in your comments, you've got a lot of people always talking and conversing. And I think that's, regardless of how many subscribers one might have, I think that's like the real important number.
Yeah, because that's I joked yesterday. I was talking to someone, and I don't have it now. I had the little image. I might be able to pull it up through the magic of Ecamm, actually. Let me see if I can find it. Because I went into YouTube Studio, and it's been like the summer slump. It's sort of been like that post-COVID, like channels just aren't performing the way that they used to. Okay. Oh, here it is, I think. And let me drag this little image into Ecamm through the magic. This is YouTube's feedback for me and my channel. It is a deflating balloon, which doesn't feel great, because it's almost like no matter what you're doing now, like, or at least in my case, for the past few months, like every video is, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, not in the good way, but in the like higher numbers or worse way. But if I go to those videos where YouTube is like, nah, this video's not good and people aren't interested in it, but I like look at the comments on that video and I talk to the people there, it's a wildly successful video because people are getting something out of it. People are having fun with it. I get to talk to people about it. So that, like you said, is the most important metric is what, like, the impact you make on people with the stuff that you're putting out there. And that's, once you kind of figure that out with YouTube, it's so addicting because every day you can just go out and do more and more stuff and interact with more and more people, and it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it really is. I think the impact part of YouTube is easily, I think, the greatest aspect of it. I think that's why live streaming is so, I guess you could call it, addicting as well, because that's where you really, really get to talk to the community. I know during your live streams, like I said, I literally try to get a comment in and it's like it gets lost within like 5 seconds.
Today I'm doing a live stream not long after this, and so here, I don't think you can see this shot here. There we go. Yeah, so I play the drums as a hobby, which is very fun, but I don't really do that on my channel because I'm not a pro drummer. It's not a drum channel. However, I have all these microphones, and so what I wanted to do was, I've never mic'd up my drums before, so I took all my like podcasting microphones. I tried to mic up my drums. I connected a mixer over there so that what I can do is sit behind the drums, mix the drum mics, play music that I can play along to that will go into the stream. But then also I have my laptop back there, my old laptop, like my 10-year-old one, so I can monitor the chat. And everything's running through the Rodecaster. And then I have Ecamm set up to switch between multiple cameras and do like some split screen stuff. So it's taken me like 4 hours this morning to set all that up. And that's what I'll be doing today. I guess that's my job. I guess
that's a pretty cool job. I'm not going to lie. So it took you 4 hours to set it up. When did you come up with the idea?
Last night, actually. I jumped on a live stream that Dean Nimmin was hosting for Owen Video. There's like the constant stream of streams because he's been diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer, and there's a huge fundraiser that's nearing like $84,000 right now. And it's just sort of been passed off from one person to the next within his community. They've been going for like, I don't know, 40 hours or something at this point. And so I made a comment in the chat last night. This is the magic of YouTube. Just like, hey, great. Thanks for doing this, you guys. And they were like, well, if you want to come on, come on. And I was so tired, but I was like, it'd be really fun. So I went on, and they were doing a giveaway where they had a little thing that was like selecting names, and they're like, we need a drum roll. Tom, go play a drum roll. It's like, oh, okay. So then I went back and I was like playing a drum roll, and it was super fun. And then after that was over, I was like, it'd be really fun to do like a drum related stream, but I'm not a music channel. So how can I like wedge that into what my channel is? And then I spent like all night thinking of ways to connect mixers to mixers and stuff. Anyway, yeah, but that's why I love this stuff, is because you can have like that spark of an idea and then execute on it immediately. There's no delay. It's not, you don't have to go through a committee or, pitch it to somebody. It's just like, I had this idea, I'm going to do it right now. It could fail, but I'm still going to do it because why not?
And on my channel, right, something that's a little similar is the background you see right now actually was sort of Tomified. Like it happened the first day of Loki episode 1. I just decided, you know what? I want to do this. I have this idea. Let's go execute it. And then, like you said, there's no committee. Well, I got producer Rick. Producer Rick right now is in the background, but he gave me the A-OK, and we went ahead and changed it. And I think it really, really did wonders for not only the channel, but for the community. Like they felt like, wow, this is a show. This is a place that I want to go and hang out at.
Yeah, I remember when you made that change because it looked good before. Like it was set up really nice. You had the lights and the background and everything. But I remember you made this change, and I think we had like a meeting that night or whatever, a mastermind meeting, and I was asking you about it because I thought like, oh, you must have been working on this, and then you moved over to it today, and you were like, nope, I did that today. Like I had the idea right now. And I love that. I've used that as an example so many times already, like your thing specifically of, you have an idea, you do it, and then that can become a huge part of your channel's identity. Sometimes not, sometimes you do ideas that don't work, but in your case, like the setup looks amazing, the streams always look so good. It's a full-on show every day. It's awesome.
It's definitely a lot of work though, but it's the cool thing is that it doesn't sometimes feel like work.
Yeah.
I know you're recently you just became full-time.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask, like, how's that going? You were formerly a teacher. So how's the full-time YouTube content creation going for Tom Buck?
Well, here's my deflated balloon image. I'm kidding. It's been amazing. It's one of those things. So I started my channel like 4 years ago as a full-time teacher, and it was just a side thing. It was never to make money. It was never intended to take over my career. But it's just sort of what happened. And over the 4 years, like the channel grew, my skill set grew, the community grew, and it just kind of actually became a viable option, which is amazing. And I'm such a conservative person when it comes to career changes and jobs. I'm very like hesitant to, what about health insurance and what about this and that? And like, I never want to leave any of that. So it was a journey to get to the point, but it is so cool to not have to feel like you're waiting for the weekend or you're waiting for your time off to do the things that you actually want to do. You get to just wake up and focus on what you want to focus on and try to do the best you can at it, and then just do the same thing the next day. Like, I've never had that experience beyond maybe like a short break or vacation or something. And to get to do that every day I cannot say how lucky and fortunate I am that is even possible at all. So it has been amazing. Going on, I think 4.5 months of that now, which is awesome.
That's so cool to hear, because that's where obviously I think a lot of, your fellow content creators, our fellow community wants to get to, right? Like, I would love to be able to do Filmtopia full time, but also be well compensated for it, so I can put even more stuff into Filmtopia. So, on just this topic of, I guess, career and all that stuff, I've always wondered, for Tom Buck, where is this all going, or where do you want it to all go?
Total global domination, or Tomination, as I like. No, I'm kidding. That's the stupidest answer I could have said. Honestly, like I would like it to just sort of stay the course, which is probably the least imaginative answer. But I think a lot of times people start something and it's just, what's the next step? What's the next step? I got to grow. And I definitely have, ideas and things I want to do that are like bigger and stuff. But I just love what I get to do. And I am so happy that I just kind of want to just be able to keep doing this. Yeah. And people have asked if I'm going to like hire a team, get an office, do all stuff. I'm like, no, that's expensive. And then I'm just a manager. Like I don't want that. I want to be able to be my own boss and do what I want to do with my time. And this is the perfect outlet for that. So the big thing is like just paying attention to the platforms and seeing how platforms are changing and growing. And when are there things that pop up that I can just say, okay, cool, that's the thing that's happening over there, good for them. And when is something happening that I need to go, okay, now maybe I should pay attention to the way that this works so that I can not be left in the dust. But yeah, I mean, just that's pretty much it. And a couple weeks ago, as you know, my wife Heather and I launched our Just Create More community. So shameless plug, you can go to justcreatemore.com to check that out. And that has been awesome, because the biggest thing that's done is just like the positive YouTube comments and stuff can do, is the community really feels like, that's right, there are other people on the other sides of these things, and you can like the connections and the camaraderie that's there is it's awesome, and it's very different, and I'm really excited about that. So we're kind of seeing like where that's going to go, and I really couldn't tell you, because it's so new, but it's so fun. So that's kind of, I think that's an answer. What was the question?
I think you answered the question, but about Just Create, everything, everybody, by the way, all of everything that Tom is doing is linked down below. But yeah, I mean, justcreatemore.com, put together by Heather and Tom. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. I don't know. I tried, man. I tried.
It was good. I liked it.
I tried. But definitely, I think what's going on over there is, I mean, I keep saying, maybe it's not the best word, but I think it's revolutionary. I think what's going on over there is, I mean, just look at the post from yesterday, which was, what is it, the Zoom meeting type of things. I mean, the amount of ideas that got flooded in there were so cool. And what did you put? You replied to it.
I put like, this is a whole VidCon, because that was, we decided to do a monthly new member Zoom meeting. So instead of just typing, instead of us streaming, it's more two-way, you know, which is kind of nice. And so we had our first one last week, and everybody was there. We're getting to know each other kind of on a more personal level than just comments and things. And it was really fun. And then afterwards, there was conversation of like, we should do more of these. But what was really cool, and then Heather posted a thing of like, if you could do a Zoom thing, what would some ideas be? And we got flooded with like over 100 ideas, probably. Like literally enough to fill up like VidCon. Just create more con 2021.
There we go.
And there were really cool ideas. And then Heather and I were talking about it. We're trying to figure out, okay, well, these aren't things that like, they're not telling us we need to do these. These are things people would like, you know, if Ricky shows up and he has an idea for a thing, that would be his session or whatever you want to call it, that you would lead. And it's like, oh, the community is this thing that exists even beyond and without us controlling every part of it, which is what you want. But it's like, wow, it happened so fast. And it's just so good. And anytime anyone asks a question there or wants some feedback, like immediately they get like long responses and really in-depth, thoughtful stuff. It's been like one of the coolest online community I've been a part of. It's just amazing.
As Jared has previously said, I myself, we're checking it more than we check any other social platform. Here, keep plugging, which is, if any of you out there are wanting to, find yourself as a creator, if you want to figure out what it is you want to do in this content creation community, well, the Just Create More community, I think, is the healthiest, most positive, and most like uplifting community there is. Hence why I pick up my phone and I'm like, oh, let's check out the Mighty Networks app and check out Just Create More.
Yeah, it's been great. And like you said, it really is about like positive and uplifting. There's room for critical feedback, but it's not based on subscriber count. It's not based on technical skills. It's not based on what gear you use or anything like that. It's really based on, are you a YouTube creator who's committed and excited about what you're doing? And if you have 5 subscribers or 500,000 subscribers, you're totally welcome to be a part of it. It's more about the mindset than the actual like the numbers or anything like that. So it creates a really cool space for people to just interact in, and it's growing so fast. I love it.
And to give you, the audience, a little bit more perspective on where Heather and Tom kind of lie in all of it. Well, and I'm plucking this from actually one of Heather's 1 to 100 episodes with the Mighty Network CEO. What she said was that essentially Mighty Networks is like this party, and we're going to the party, and it just happens to be at Heather and Tom's house. And so when we show up, obviously we talk for a little and we do our thing, and then we go off. But within that party, Heather and Tom might pull me aside and they might be like, hey, I don't know if you've heard, but I see you have a beard. You should go talk to, let me introduce you really quick to Dan C. Bearded. He's got like all the lowdown on how to make this beard go from 0 to a hero. You know what I mean? Like, and so essentially, like, what the Zoom meetings also, like, what they're going to kind of do, the ones that are being, I guess, made right now, is that concept, which is you're basically introducing us to other people, fellow like-minded creators, and then we take the ball and we run with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And then, you kind of bounce around from area to area. So it's not that everyone has to participate in everything all the time, which works because Heather's background is like community building and organization. Like, she was in a co-ed fraternity in college, but it was a community service fraternity.
That's awesome.
I was not in anything. So that's kind of like, I'm the person who will go when I'm invited. I'm like, Tom, come here and do this. I'm like, cool, I'll do that. But she's the one who's gonna like go, we need to do this, and there needs to be this and that and the other thing. And it's funny that Gina from Mighty Networks used that analogy, because it's literally like the second time Heather and I met, it was because I was going to a party she was throwing for like it was like her business, her YouTube thing. It was like a progress party for that. And it was the second time we met in person. And then it was like, we need to go to the store and get supplies. So we went to the store, and she's like, you need to go get this, and I'll go take care of guests and stuff. And it's like the exact same dynamic, except it's on Mighty Networks. And it's just funny that like, that's just how it felt. I don't know. It's just funny that's how it works. So we complement each other in good ways, because I'm so bad at planning stuff.
Hey, man, that is so cool. Like the compliment, and what's funny is like I think as a YouTube couple, to see everything come together the way it has, and then for you both to complement each other, that is like so awesome. That is #goals.
Yeah, we're really just, I can't stress how fortunate and appreciative and just excited we are that this is stuff that even gets to happen. But it honestly, it all started just because of YouTube, and like deciding to take that step and put yourself out there and see what else is out there in the world. And turns out there's a lot, and it's pretty crazy and life-changing if you just give yourself that little chance to get started.
Yeah. Well, really quick, I want to go to the chat really quick. And speaking of community, Dancy Bearded is here, so shout out to you. Dancy also says that YouTube analytics cannot measure value.
Not at all.
At all.
I love that quote.
Let's see. I see Coffee Talking Tech. Coffee Talking Tech is here. Let's see. He says, I did get to see Tom drum when he got like 150 likes one time.
That was like Heather was doing a thing. Every 50 likes, Tom's gonna go play a thing, but like I have to like struggle to fit over, and like it takes like a minute and a half just to get over there because it's so cramped and like small. But it was funny. That stream went ridiculous. Sometimes I lose control of my live streams.
I will say this actually. This actually segues into a perfect thing that I want to talk about, which is I've seen, speaking of that live stream, when you get into a mode. Like, it's kind of like when Michael Jordan puts on, like, his sneakers. Like, it's like, all right, it's game time. And so when I seen you on the drums, you get into it, and, like, it's a different Tom, but it's still Tom. And the point I want to make, though, is harken back to the video that we watched earlier, which was you on Gerald Undun's 2021 video.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really want to commend you for that video, because to me, that felt so similar to like a rap battle, to like a cypher, where people, are in a circle just rapping off. To me, it felt like you had like the best verse, and like you just went hard, man.
Yeah, that I mean, when people think of rap battle champions, they automatically usually think of me, because I just rolled hard. I don't know. But really, like, what it was, and like talking about the world of creating, is I know Gerald a little bit, done like a podcast with him, we've talked a little bit, and he just sent me a message and said, hey, I'm working on this video, do you want to be a part of it? I said sure. And he was like, okay, cool, your spot's 30 seconds, can you have it to me in the next day or two? And when something like that pops up, where I don't know who else he's asking, it turns out he asked like everybody. There's like 40 people in that video. And I was like, I don't want to let Gerald down, who has really high standards. So I can't turn in like a piece of junk that looks and sounds terrible. But also, I want it to feel like it is everything you would get in one of my videos in 30 seconds. And it's really hard to do something in the short amount of time. But sometimes when you have a creative challenge, if you give yourself a parameter, it helps you to become more creative with it. Instead of just going like, I could do whatever I want, it can be as long as I want. If you're like, this is what you need to do, and it has to be exactly 30 seconds, it's like, okay, now I have like a puzzle that I have to solve and figure out. And it was really, really fun. And I'm just fortunate that I think because I turned it in early, I was like the second one in the video, which is a nice little slot to be in. And that just goes to kind of what I was saying earlier, like the magic of how quickly things can happen when you're dealing with online video. Like you can just turn around ideas immediately, but also, just being prepared for different opportunities that pop up where I could have said like, yeah, I'll do it. I could have waited a couple days, given it to him late. Maybe it wouldn't have even had time to be in the video. But instead it was like, I'm going to do this right now and figure it out and put it together and get it back to him like before anyone else could do it. And that's, like recognizing those little things that you care about and you want to excel at, and then doing everything you can to do it when the opportunity arises is really important. And you never know where stuff like that could lead, even if it's literally just goofy entertainment, which is totally fine.
Well, I just keep like, I'm always, I love watching that video. While I don't watch it every day I wake up, I really do truly like press on the timestamps and I press on the Tom Buck part, because for me, like it's really one of those things where it's like, you can tell the opportunity, you took it seriously. You gave it everything you had. You gave it, and just like, again, throughout the entire video, we're talking, we have some heavyweights in there.
Yeah.
And for you to stand out like I guess a sore thumb was awesome. So
yeah, it's crazy. There's like people I've admired for years and years on there. It's really cool just to even like be in the same field of timestamps with a lot of those people. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, I will say this, on this channel, I'm like trying to find, like I'm right now currently developing a trailer for the channel. Mm-hmm. And like, that's how I want it to like feel. I want it to feel like I put some really great effort into it. I want it to feel like when you walk away, you're like, wow, like you walk away saying, wow. And so you guys can thank Tom if it turns out good or if it turns out bad.
Yeah, I don't want to be blamed for it, but I will take the credit for it. Sure.
That's awesome. I see Jared's in the house. Jared Spink. Nice to see Jared in here. Great to see him.
He gave us a ride. You got to meet Jared the other day, which was super cool. And we got to meet him a couple days before, and Jared gave us our first ride in a Tesla ever because he has a very nice Tesla. And I had never been in one, and to be honest, but prior to that, I was like, yeah, Teslas are cool, but like I don't care. I have a Toyota. It's fine. Like I'm happy with it. It's blue. And then after that, I was like, oh, I see why people never stop talking about these, because this is a different kind of thing. Yeah. But we went on this like back road, and Jared stopped and he was like, are you guys ready? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then he like floored it, which it feels exactly like the Incredicoaster at California Adventure, when you're sitting at the beginning and it counts down, it starts, and you just slam back in your seat. That is exactly what it felt like. And I started screaming a bunch just because I couldn't help it. And anyway, that's my Jared story, is I screamed because his Tesla went fast. But geez, that was like a roller coaster. It was crazy. So thanks, Jared.
Shout out to Jared for scaring Tom. I will say, though, that is a great representation as to how it must have felt, which is the Incredicoaster. If anybody's been to California Adventure in Anaheim, when you take off immediately from that ride, you get pushed back into the seat, and like you can't kind of breathe for like a second. Yeah. And then it just like kind of lightens up.
It's exhilarating because you feel like I have no control over this, and it's going so fast and there's nothing I can do. So you're scared, but it's fun. I'm usually like, I just start giggling really loud is my reaction.
The funniest like image right now I could see though is Jared turning and looking at you and saying, are you ready? You ready? And he just goes, vroom.
He said the only other person who reacted that way was his mom. So
got it. Hey, that's good company.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously, but I am of that category.
Oh man, that is so cool. Coffee Talking Tech says, if you know what Tom and Heather are about, they are about attracting quality people. And yeah, the Just Create More is definitely filled with a lot of quality, both people and content and subject matter.
Crazy,
yeah, so cool. Let's see. Dan C. Bearded says, you are/were a fantastic teacher that has so much community building into it. Even when you don't realize it, those skills have transferred to your channel in a fantastic way.
Yeah, that I thank you, Dan. And it's crazy because I started my channel originally as a way to like do something outside of work because I was a digital media teacher and it was fun because I got to work with all this stuff, but I was just helping students make their stuff. I was never making anything on my own. I was like, I need a creative outlet that's not a work project. So that was why I started the channel. And then the channel doing that helped me actually become a better teacher because I just understood my subject matter better than I had before. Because I was kind of, I never went to like film school or anything, but I had sort of that traditional of like, this is how a thing is done. This is the process. This is that. And then going into like the new media world, which is really where my students were living and where things were, I was like, oh, this is how that actually works. Very different. And then the teaching informed that it just worked together. And then, for sure the channel wouldn't exist had I not had the opportunities I did as a teacher.
Yeah. Well, lucky students, I will say that. Very lucky students. Soon, maybe one day they'll be in the Just Create More community. So
yeah, a former student super chatted me a while ago, and I was like, you don't need to do that. Like, please.
Ben Tolson's in the house saying,
hey Ben.
Leo's
here.
AKA probably going to be on one of the next Gerald Undone videos. Leo Keller.
Leo's so good.
Leo's so good. Shout out to Leo. Let's see. And Smuggler Steel says there's a lot of great info and perspective. So that's all Tom.
I'm glad you feel that way. Thank you.
But yeah, so really quick, speaking on, new YouTubers such as Leo, do you have any on your radar right now that that you see on the uprise, or do you see who are your like favorite YouTubers to watch as well?
Oh, that's a tough. Well, other than Filmtopia, which is the number one answer to all of those questions, I'm gonna shout out Leo right here. Like, if you want to go see somebody who, the fact he's doing what he can do now, which is like unbelievable, and then you go like, oh, he's still like quite young, so he's only gonna get better and better. His channel's so good. The way he presents himself, paces everything is so incredibly good. So Leo's amazing. I always get excited when he shares something because it's like, it's a fun experience.
Yeah.
I really, in terms of like people who are coming up now, there's a few people. There's fellow filmmaker, which her name is also Heather. She's super cool, and her channel is growing really well, and she has a really good down to earth like YouTube perspective. And my wife Heather, just being married to a female content creator, it really made me aware of like, wow, there's not a lot of, at least in this niche, not a lot of female representation. So I always get excited when like a new channel comes out with a different point of view like that. There's another channel from a guy named Chris Franklin, who actually, because it's not that small anymore, I think he crossed the 10 or 11K mark, but he's great. He does a lot of like Blackmagic cinema camera stuff. So I learned a lot from him there. And there's all the other stuff that's not related to to what I do. There's a channel by a guy named Hugh Jeffries, who's from Australia, and he does like phone restorations. He's huge on right to repair, and so he gets like old MacBooks, old iPods, tears them apart, fixes them, replaces them. It's really, really cool. I have a lot of Australian channels. There's another channel from a guy in Australia called Luke Towan, and he does like scale model building. I love that. I love I think the channel is Densely, Densle. He does a lot of Blender animation, but he does like Animal Crossing 3D animated things that look like they could be Pixar movies. Like they're that level of quality, but it's one guy who does them. It's amazing. And then he does behind the scenes like live streams as he's like setting them up and rigging the characters, and he does commentaries on these like 3-4 minute short films he makes. I don't know, there's so much good stuff out there.
I will say that, you know how you name some channels that are outside of your genre. One thing that I'd like to like input is, I think that's super important for anybody out there that's wanting to just create, which is go outside of your niche or outside of your the sphere of where your content maybe lies, and go outside of that, and you might gain new perspective that helps you create more. There you go.
Just create more. Yeah, I was trying to look at my like list of subscriptions. I know I'm missing a lot of people who I really, really love, but there's I'm a huge fan of Bandrew Scott, who does like podcastage. I don't know if you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, podcastage.
Yeah, if you want if you like how Tom does mic reviews, but you want to hear it from someone who knows what they're talking about, go check out podcastage. He does all kinds of cool stuff, and it's funny because this was not anything personal, but I actually avoided his channel for a while because I had never seen a video, and this was probably last December, and I watched the video and I was like, oh, he's reviewing the same microphone I review. Oh, he's kind of like talking about the same things. Because of course you talk about certain stuff with mics. Oh, he's like playing instruments into the microphone and he's making like sarcastic jokes. And then not because he's been doing this longer than me. Like,
Yeah.
So it was just like, even in our vacuums, there's a lot of similarities in how we put stuff together. And I was like, oh, I cannot watch this channel because I don't want it to seep into me. And then last thing I would want to do is take the way somebody does something. But then I was like, nuts to that. And I just started watching a bunch of it because it's so good. So I've been like diving into his channel I was going to say this year because it feels new, but it's August. So it's been a while.
You know, on that point of not necessarily watching your contemporaries, I've actually stopped doing the same thing. So, you know, I have all this. So Filmtopia is about movie making and movie loving, and those two combined. So I've actually stopped watching a lot of movie loving channels. So I know there's like a channel called the John Campea Show, awesome morning movie talk show. But I actually had to stop watching it because I wanted to make my own thing. And instead, what I ended up doing, which I think Dan C would appreciate, is I actually went somewhere where you wouldn't think, right? I went over to sports and I said, I'm watching the Pat McAfee show. I'm watching The Herd with Colin Cowherd. I'm watching First Take. I'm watching all these shows. How about we start studying those and then bring that over to movies?
Yeah.
And I've done that throughout a bunch of genres, through like not just sports, but just a bunch of other things that aren't movies. And it kind of just develops like what Filmtopia is kind of becoming. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That's so smart, is to take stuff from other places that you wouldn't normally expect it. I've done, speaking of sports, I'm not a huge sports guy, but I love watching like an NFL football game because the way, like the production side of things is amazing. And there's so much that you can, in terms of like live multi-camera broadcasting, it's kind of the tops. I did a video a while ago. It's been maybe like a year and a half ago now, but I was explaining how like you do find inspiration in different places. So I did like a MacBook Pro review a while ago, but the intro from it, I got the idea from an anime that we were watching, which is not what you would think. You're not going to watch and go like, that's an anime inspired thing, but it was just sort of like the pacing, the framing, the music choice was from that. I did another video that was like, literally it was a Hulu commercial that I was like, oh, I really love the way this is cut and it's doing this weird split screen thing. So I kind of did a little montage in a video that was like very based on that. So you wouldn't expect like, for my MacBook thing, clearly anime is where I should go. But if you're just open to stuff, you get ideas from everywhere. And then you take all those ideas, you smash them into your own thing, and then something new comes out and that's your thing, which is super fun.
Exactly. So definitely everybody, don't be afraid to venture out and study, venture out and gain insight, gain new perspective, because then you can bring it over to what you're doing, and then you output what is essentially new.
Exactly.
And then you're putting you out into the universe.
Yes.
So, but speaking of where you're, the question earlier was, where do we see you going, Tom? I think Jared says it perfectly, which is Tom showing you how to podcast on the Roadcaster in a Tesla.
I mean, it wouldn't...
With 2 million views.
The Roadcaster has too many physical buttons to be in a Tesla, but like if there could be like another display in there that's got like things.
Yeah.
But I think it was it Jared? Jared did talk about podcasting in your car because it's a good little sound booth if you don't have a place to go and you can just record audio in there. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, the good thing is that if you ever want to try it, I'm pretty sure Jared would be up for it.
Yeah, I love Jared. He's such a good guy.
Great guy. Yeah, and speaking of which, I did get to finally meet him, and that went awesome. You'd see that if you joined the Just Create More community.
Yeah.
But really quick, I wanted to also ask something, which is, Do you have any sort of like video ideas that you like have an urge or a passion to like want to make them, but you know it might not sit well with your audience, or it might not play well with like the analytics or algorithm and stuff? Do you have any of those videos that like you could share with us?
Oh, yeah, I'm not being rude, but I'm looking for my list of video ideas over here, which fortunately in our side by side, it just looks like I'm staring at you.
That's
Like you're making a good point. I
uh,
definitely do have that. And I try. So this is again kind of goes back to like a creative challenge, because the beauty of YouTube is that it's your thing. So you can do whatever you want. But if you want your channel to grow in a way,
mhm.
says the guy with the deflating balloon graphic, you need to like make sure that the audience understands what the heck it is. And it's really tough to be personality based. A lot of variety channels where it's like, we're going to do this and this and this and this. The thing that ties it all together is the person's personality. But it's very hard to do that when you're just starting out. If you don't have like that crazy outgoing like YouTuber personality, it's just tough. So you kind of need something else for people to connect with. And, you know, entertaining people or teaching people something is a good way to do that. So I try to think of when there's an idea and I go, hey, this would be a really fun video. How could I make it work on my channel? Just like I was talking about the drumming live stream I planned for today. Like, people don't watch my channel to watch me play the drums poorly. But if I talk about like, let's take all these microphones, let's put it here, let's put it into the Rodecaster, let's show a setup that's possible to like do a live stream while you're playing the drums and monitoring everything, like that fits in with the channel because live streaming is a thing. So giving like the creative challenge is really important. And I learned this when I was teaching, because sometimes, especially at the start of the school year, I would be like, okay, I'm gonna do something super cool. And I'm gonna say like, your project is make whatever you want. And I was like, students are gonna love it. And there was like a handful of kids that really did, but a lot of them were like paralyzed because they were like, what do you mean make whatever I want? Like, what do I do? And I found out as soon as I did give them a parameter, like make whatever you want, but it needs to be 60 seconds. Make whatever you want, but it needs to be done in 48 hours. Like whatever it might be, it has to have some kind of visual effect in it. You can't use any on location audio. You have to add in everything afterwards. As soon as I gave them a little like creative limitation, then they went crazy with it. And so I do the same thing with myself. Some video ideas. There's, I don't know if there's some, well, actually there's one that's kind of interesting. I've been wanting to do like, I'm not going to call it documentary stuff, but maybe like things that are just a little bit longer and a little more in depth, like a video essay, documentary style things. Time is hard to do that. But there's a term I learned that somebody taught me in the comments to one of my videos, and the term is Hufter proof, which is very interesting. And it's essentially how a product or something can be designed to stand up to abuse and misuse. So, you know, when you have a camera or a microphone or something, is it something that needs to be taken care of? Or is it something that when you hand it off to 10 different people and they all use it and kind of use it wrong, it's going to suddenly like, it's going to stand up to that. And I thought that was sort of fascinating in terms of like industrial design and audio video gear combined with like the budget world of things where it needs to be affordable. So it's, I don't know. So I was like, I could do this really cool in-depth thing, but I haven't done that yet because I don't know what it would be and it would take a lot of time. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad I asked that because I would love to see that. And I was gonna ask, like, are we gonna get to see, like, does that video involve like the camera being taken outside of the studio?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would love to see. I'm pretty sure everybody in the chat would too.
That's something right now. I mean, I only live a couple hours from you, but today's high is going to be 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Last week it was 120, which is, if you're not in the US, that's like 48 degrees Celsius. So it's very hard to go outside and do stuff now. But more and more, that is something I want to do, is find ways to film just in different locations, which is like the studio space is super functional and it's branded really well. But yeah, sometimes it's just cool to see other things. I do have the camera I held up is, this is the Canon XL1. So this is a 20-year-old mini DV camera. Oops, but it was Canon's first like prosumer interchangeable lens camera where you can swap out the lenses. This was my dream camera when I was a kid. And I like wanted to make movies and do stuff. I had a printed out picture of this on my bulletin board through all of high school. and I finally found one on eBay. So it like the quality of that is nowhere near as good as even a phone or anything nowadays, but it looks good. Like it looks very 90s, early 2000s, late 90s video-y. And I was like, this would be so fun to make a whole video that's just like not in a jokey, goofy way, but like using this camera to make it look as good as I possibly could, like outdoors and stuff, would be really fun and just give it that weird 90s feel. But I don't know what the video would be about.
And it goes back to that notion of like being inspired by other things. So people think being inspired means you got to look left and right. But I also think it means looking forward and looking backwards. Mm-hmm. And what I'm trying to say is you're saying a 90s inspired type of feel, right? And I don't know if you watch Danny Gevirtz, but Danny Gevirtz has recently been making a lot of music videos. And within those music videos, he's gone to the box format. Mm-hmm. He's adding grain, and it looks like it was made, a few years back. But it gives it that flavor, and it has this nice modern approach to it. So one of the things I love about all your video podcasts and everything that you do on video is that when you switch over to like different cameras, and and some of them are like analog cameras, like it's so cool.
I do have this one hooked up. I don't know. Let me see if I can get it going. Here we go. Where is it? It's this one? Yeah. Hello. But yeah, it's just the coolest feeling camera. Like I feel like I'm gonna go make a movie now, and then I can like look. There's actually this camera here, the Sony A7S III, Whoa. Cost as much as the Canon XL1 did when it was new, but that's like a 4K beast, and this is a 480p or something. But this is like, it's so much fun, and it's one thing like. I think I've noticed a trend in filmmaking and video production where people who didn't grow up with analog stuff and older things like this really like that aesthetic and that style because it's fun. But if you're like me and you're a little bit older and you grew up with that, like my old Sony Handycam, no matter what, could never look super good. And even if I put little black electrical tape around the lens to try to give it like a letterbox widescreen feel, which doesn't work because you just see the back of the tape and there's like dog hair and stuff stuck to it, so it doesn't work at all. But no matter what, that could look nothing like a real movie. Whereas now it's like you have a camera that easily looks like actual, movie quality, and then you can on purpose make it look like lower quality. It's just sort of a different perspective, but it's been fun to sort of see that style like reemerge in a new way, and like with a whole new generation of filmmakers and video people and how they approach and what they want to do with it. So it's like, like you said, you look back, you look forward, and you just kind of, everything is a tool and you can just use it however you want. It's awesome.
And it kind of full circles with that notion of parameter, right? Mm-hmm. We're getting so inundated with so much of the same content per se that it just takes a few toms, right, to be like, you know what? Let's live stream in this old camera, or like just like a bunch of people that decide to make that little subtle change or decide to take that risk. Is pretty cool. And like you said, parameters are sometimes really awesome because they can lead to the greatest things. Because
you kind of think of like, well, I want to be creative, so I want total freedom with no limits. And it's weird that not usually, but sometimes doesn't lead to actual creativity. You kind of need, I think of like when the universe and the solar system was forming, like there's dust everywhere and everything just floating around. But as soon as there's like a little bit of something here, that's what everything can then gravitate towards, and like, whoop, now it's a planet or a star or whatever. It's sort of the same thing. Like you have all your ideas, but once you give yourself one pillar, that's what everything else can then attach to and build off of. And it's a really good, effective way to get out of like a creative rut or creative block, is to just give yourself a limitation and then build around it.
I think I just came up with a new idea for Just Create More.
Okay.
Which is
kick Tom out.
Kick Tom out. That's too funny. Don't worry, we'll get you a scholarship to get back in.
Thank God.
But no, I was thinking, what if like there was something where, there was this prompt or these parameters. It's kind of like a film festival, but for the Just Create More community, and it's not a short film, and instead of it's like your content. And that would be kind of cool. I don't know. It just came to me. I thought I had to say
It could be really fun. And how to see how everybody approaches that. That could be cool. Yeah, you should put that in the community.
Well, just a few more things before you go. One thing I gotta ask for my man Jared, and for myself is, you stream. I've noticed you stream in 60 frames a second, correct?
Yeah.
Or I've seen you do that.
I think
And
so, yes.
I wanted to ask, while you're not, your camera settings and stuff aren't in 60 frames a second, why do you send the output as, or the stream as 60 frames per second?
I forget who it was, and I feel bad for this, but there was somebody I watched a lot of streams from that looked really good that was using Ecamm, and they said just set it to 60 FPS, and I was like, but my camera's not 60, and they're like, just set Ecamm at 60, and like YouTube will take care of the rest. So I was like, okay, and then it looks fine when I do that.
Yeah.
And then I use the ATEM Mini as like my camera switcher and my capture card, and that prefers 30 frames a second. Like it just works much better. So when I'm streaming, my cameras are all set to 30 frames per second, and the stream is 60 frames per second, and somehow it works.
I will say that I think I watched one of yours. I went and tried it on mine, and then I found something out that I have no verification over. Like I might be spreading misinformation, so don't listen to me. Just hear me out. I stream in 1080 60, and then, but right now my camera's set at 30 frames a second, and then I have some footage sometimes that's 24. So when I cut to footage, it's sometimes 24. Well, anyways, what I'm trying to say is I stream at 60. If I ever, like my vlog last week, when I put it into the thing, when you watch it back, it looks like a 60 frames per second video when that's going on. When you come back to 30, this part right here, it looks like it's in 30. It looks like it's in its natural state. And then if I ever put something in 24, it also looks like it's in 24.
Yeah, I know, that's weird.
I don't know. I may be completely wrong. Definitely, community, go check that out. Go try it. But I will say, to me, what it feels like a container, right? And it just feels like when you put it at 60, you can just do a lot in it, where the converse or whatever, the other way is not true, because whenever I stream at 24 or 30, if I put anything in 60 frames a second on the stream, it looks really bad. And even like animations that come in, if they're not in its native, like what it's supposed to be, it looks really bad. But I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. And I don't know if that's an Ecamm thing or a YouTube thing, because YouTube, like, everyone loves to give YouTube a hard time for stuff, but something YouTube is amazingly good at is dealing with like aspect ratios and frame rates and all that kind of stuff. And it can like adapt and play and show your video like however you upload it. Yeah. And so maybe it's then also able to take whatever your stream signal is and work some magic and do that. I don't know if that's a YouTube thing or an Ecamm thing, but I think you're right. Like it's you just set the limit way up here, and you're never going to go past that. You're not going to stream in 120 FPS or something. I don't even know how that would work, but yeah. So I think that makes sense. So maybe that's why I do 60 frames per second, is because it's like a container, and so anything else I put here will look good.
Absolutely, and I learned that from you. So
you're welcome.
Tom, before you go, really quick, we're gonna do a rapid round if you don't mind.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, you all know that I recently got an app called Poddex. Poddex, if you're watching, you guys are awesome. But this thing called Poddex, and what it is like this flashcards of sorts where you can, here, let me pull it up, where you can basically pick anything, and then it has like a bunch of preloaded questions that you're able to ask. It's a really good companion for someone that does podcasting or does any sort of video stuff. But with that said, I usually ask the chat which one they want to do, but I'm sorry, Tom, I'm going to go ahead and make an executive decision, and I want to do the WTF one.
Okay. It's your show. I'll play by your rules.
I do not know what's in it, so I apologize in advance if there's anything too crazy. So enjoy these off-the-wall questions that your guest or co-host will never expect. Okay, well, then here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here's to the WTF pod deck. The first one is...
Uh-oh.
You doing?
Oh, it froze. Okay, now I'm back.
You're good. I guess the first one, it says, can you do any tricks with your tongue? You do not have to answer. But...
No, I can eat food, and that is it. I have no fancy tricks.
Got you.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm too bad.
The next one says, who can you impersonate really well? This is a cool one.
Oh, Heather. Let me think here. I'm sorry if you're watching, dear. Let's see. So if Heather's gonna go, like, she's gonna say, like, all right, guys, so what we need to do when it comes to YouTube is the important thing is that you need to remember it's all about you. And in the creator economy business model, it's just not the same as the passion economy where it's all about that depth. It's just about that depth. Oh, and there was something else. Sorry, now I'm forgetting. I forget the thing she says where I totally, like, I don't know. I impersonated her to her the other day, but we laughed about it. I didn't get hurt.
Oh, man, that was really good. That was really good. You've been working on it. So,
yeah.
Shout out to Heather. Let's see. Has anyone started a rumor about you? If so, what was it about?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm not aware of it if they did.
I can answer this one.
Uh-oh.
I started a rumor that you are secretly a rapper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shh. That's on SoundCloud. You're not supposed to tell everyone here about that.
Oh, and I know I'm not supposed to say anything about this, but about the bank robberies.
That was on the thing. I said, don't have the past. That's how I funded my mixtapes.
All right, we'll do two more. It says, what's the longest you've ever waited in line for something, and what was it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was an Aquabats concert. And it was October 25th, 2002, and I waited for 7 hours, I think. Yeah.
I will say, though, Heather probably just walked in at the very end of that. Oh,
I didn't have my hat, but I'm sorry. I love you.
Heather, I'm sorry. I didn't do this. It was pod decks. Blame pod decks. All right, so the last one is okay. The last one is, what kind of secret society would you like to start?
If I had the first rule of my secret society is that you don't talk about my secret society, first of all. So it'd be one where people follow that rule, but I would like, it would have to be like something related to jokes and puns, where that's how you like start each meeting. You have a meeting where it's a really serious topic, but you have to start it with like the dumbest joke ever so that you lose all credibility, and then you have to do something serious and people won't that's a very not effective organization, but it'd be funny to me. And that's all that matters. So that's what my society would be. It'd be about things that are only funny to me. And that's it. Maybe I'm the only member.
I will say that sign me up. Let me know when the meetings are.
YouTube channel membership.
I will not talk about said society.
But I will talk about justcreatemore.com again.
Please do.
Well, that was super fun. I'm sorry I had like lame answers for some of them, but is what it is.
No, Tom, seriously, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on here, but even more than that, thank you for being who you are. Thank you for taking in and just really uplifting this dude that had this idea for a movie channel. It meant a lot, especially at the beginning when you're just not certain of what everything is about, or where you're going, how long can you last in this. And definitely the support you and Heather have shown me throughout has meant the world, and I'm pretty sure all these Filmtopians can appreciate you just as much, because without y'all, I don't know if this would be here right now. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm so excited I got to be a part of your stream, and I hope just how we're so blown away by everything that you do. It's always just at a level that is so far beyond, like there's the bare minimum, there's a level of excellence, and there's like the Ricky Filmtopia level, which is just like way up here. So I mean, you just do everything you touch is awesome, and we're so excited to see where the channel's going and the shows are going and everything. So I just hope you don't forget us when there is total like Filmtopia domination of the world in like 6 months.
Well, thank you. I seriously appreciate that, and I promise, as long as you let me into the secret society, I will not forget anybody.
It's secret.
Awesome,
All right.
Tom.
Thanks so much.
Everybody, like I said, all of Tom's information is down below, so make sure to check that out. What time is your stream today?
It's going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific time, so 2 hours from now.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
I think I have a new microphone that just got delivered while we were talking too, so I'll
Nice.
check that out on the stream.
Nice. Well, awesome. Well, everybody definitely go check out Tom Buck and everything he's doing. Awesome, awesome person. And I can't wait to do this again one day.
Yeah, anytime I'm here. So thanks so much, and best wishes, and congrats to everybody who's part of this awesome community.
Thank you, Tom. And say hi to Heather for us.
Will
Tell
do.
her that it was Poddeck's fault, not mine.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We will see you next time, Tom. And thank you so much.
Adios.
Peace. All right, everybody. That was a lot of fun. Honestly, the time flew by. I think this was easily the longest guest we've had, the longest time that we've had a guest on. So that was super fun. The WTF pod deck definitely came in clutch. But it was one of those conversations where it was kind of hard to go back to the chat because we were just in the thick of it. But definitely, I see you, JA. I see you, Dancy Bearded. I see you, Coffee Talking Tech. Heather, yes, meeting just finished. You made it right at the right time. 6 out of 10 impression, I guess you could say. And Dancy Bearded waited for the original iPhone. Let's see. Aquabats rule. Let's see. But yeah, no, seriously, thank you everybody that was here. Thank you for showing Tom so much love. This was a lot of fun. And I really want to know all your guys' thoughts on just Filmtopia Live and just the concept of it. And, let me know whether that's in the chat right now or in the comment section below or in a DM somewhere. Let me know how everything's going. One of the beauties about this is that it's an ever-evolving concept. It's I'll use this example. It's like fashion. It never finishes. It always evolves. And yeah, so like for example, like when I first started this or when I got the idea for Filmtopia Live, the movie show, I was like, okay, it's gonna be the Pat McAfee show mixed with Colin Cowherd, mixed with E! News, mixed with whatever. And then, as time progresses, you start clipping away at things, you start trimming it out, and then it just slowly starts becoming your own thing. And while every day is a new challenge for me, there are certain things that I really enjoy about all of this. And I hope to bring you even more, in the coming future. So with that said, thank you everybody. Smuggler Steel, Dancy Bearded, J.A. I see Sammy Superstars in here. What's up? Let's see. And yes, thank you, Tom, for sharing his time. That was a lot of time he shared with us, so I'm super grateful for that. James and Mark is in the house. Let's go. Nice, James and Mark. Definitely go check out James and Mark's channel. Go check out Coffee Talking Tech's channel. Go check out, by the way, Coffee Talking Tech, I think, is sitting at 606 subscribers the last time I checked. If any Filmtopians are so willing, let's go get him above 610 subscribers. Let's go show him the love that we have for him over at Filmtopia. Dancy Bearded, thank you so much. Tom. Los that was a rad convo. And what's awesome, Los, is I'm glad you say that because, you originally came here for like the movie talk, right? Like whenever you joined the channel, whenever you became a Filmtopian, but now you're staying for the stuff that is adjacent to like movie talk. And like I said, just so awesome that you thought that. So Dancy Bearded says, that's wild. My inspirations are Pat McAfee, Sean Evans, Hot Ones, and others. Yeah, I was saying this during, the talk with Tom, that one of the things that's really helped me out as a creator that's allowed me to just create more is looking outside of my contemporaries. So I actually don't watch a lot of content posted by contemporaries of mine. Instead, what I watch is stuff that I would naturally watch anyways, right? I love sports. So I watch a lot of Pat McAfee. I watch a lot of Colin Cowherd. I watch a lot of First Take. And so what I've decided to do is pluck stuff from over there and bring it over to here. So I don't know. That's a quick tidbit. Quick tip for anybody out there that's wanting to become their own version of whatever it is they're becoming. I would suggest don't look too much at your contemporaries. Instead, respect them and watch them watch them to where it's not gonna unmotivate you to create. That's when I know my limit. That's where I hit my limit. When I start feeling like, oh man, like they changed the game, or like how come I didn't think of this? The minute I start thinking like that, I just step away and I let them, I let them do their thing, because their thing is awesome. And what I've tried to pivot on is, instead of like being like disappointed or unmotivated, what I just think is like, wow, they decided to go for it. Like they had this gut feeling about that and they decided to go for it. And that was the difference between them making it and someone else making it, or me making it, was the fact that they just said, screw it, let's do it. And it turned out awesome. So with that said, everybody, everyone have a dapper day. Exactly, Smuggler. Josh from NY, what's going on, Josh? JA says, you and Tom have a wonderful and authentic energy, super enjoyable convo. It's funny. I kind of forgot, to be honest, like we're doing this over like the internet, to be honest. Like it just felt like we were just like talking. That was pretty cool. There we go. Jay, that is a great way to put it. By the way, everybody go check out Jay's channel. We're talking about something that I asked Tom earlier, was what channels on the come up, or channels to be looking out for. Definitely check out JA. I think JA put out a like an intro trailer to his channel, and it goes back to that whole thing. I can tell he put effort into it. I can tell he did that stuff to it, and so it really shows on screen, and appreciate that, JA. So Dancy Bearded says, great advice. And with that, thank you, Dancy. Everybody definitely go check out Dancy's channel as well. Congrats to you on 46,000. And since I have you here, what I wanted to say was, I got a phone call the other day on Heather Ramirez's Huddle Up Friday live stream. And I know one of the things you asked was in a positive tone, like you said, which was, what are my thoughts on thumbnails and having like the same PNG? Well, let me tell you, now I can tell you. So I am actually of the same mindset in a few ways, which is, right now I'm trying to figure out what that all is. If it were up to me, I would have a different thumbnail for a variety of things. One thing I'm testing out at the moment is keeping a consistency factor to a consistent show. So for example, Filmtopia Live, I think, and I'm still testing it out. I could be, there could be variations and stuff that I can, or changes that I can make soon. But one of the things that I'm thinking for Filmtopia Live, this show, is if I carry over the same PNG for the thumbnail for this show, then when you are looking on your feed, if you enjoy this show, when you see that PNG, you'd be like, oh wait, let's go check that out, because I do like this. But what I won't do, what I'm not trying to do, is have that same PNG be for every single video that I do. And those pre-recorded videos that I have on the way are coming, and you'll see what I mean. You'll see that those have completely different thumbnails. So if anybody out there wants any insight as to the way I'm viewing thumbnails on my channel, so the way I want the thumbnails to live on my channel is, I want them to be eye-driven. And what I mean by that is, you look at the grid, or you look at my channel, whether that's mobile or on desktop, when you see it, you can kind of pick out what's what. So that's kind of where I want to head with the thumbnails. You see something that you recognize, and then you familiarize that with said show. So that's awesome. So Coffee Taco says, I am okay with being where I am and learning and growing and being okay with the journey. And actually that brings a great point, which Tom always makes, which is the journey is the destination. And the minute you're able to process that and accept that and enjoy that, game changes. Game absolutely changes. In Coffee Talk and Tech, I see you doing that, so that's awesome, man. Dancy Bearded says, cool, I love the introspection approach. Keep me posted on your findings and thoughts. Will do. Yes, exactly. 46K is an incredible achievement. JA says, thumbnail branding is a super cool concept. I like that approach you have. And yeah, so with that said, everybody, we're going to go ahead and end Filmtopia Live here today. I think this is the longest we've done, actually, in a long time. If you are all not aware, What If comes out tomorrow at midnight. So I will be starting the stream for the What If Watch Party at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday, August 10th. The episode for What If, number 1, goes live at 12 a.m. on 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, August 11th. So, with that said, everybody, thank you so much. Like Dancy Bearded says, get out of here. But yeah, with that said, thank you, everybody. What If is going to be awesome. We are entering the new season. We are entering phase 2 of Filmtopia, and super duper excited. With that said, I'm nothing without all of you, and peace, everybody. Vibes. And I'm looking for the outro. I can't find the outro. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot find the outro. Okay, here we go. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much. My name is Ricky. This is Filmtopia, where movie lovers and movie makers come together. With that said, vibes. Peace out.
Gosh, I love movies.